peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Very good afternoon to you, and glad that you could find time to watch us today. Good morning, good evening, depending on where you're tuned in. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and this is Diaspora Dispatches, where usually we pay a special attention to the news-making headlines across the continent of Africa. And of course, the leading story right now is the election in Uganda that is scheduled to happen tomorrow. And a lot has been happening so far. The latest is that the U.S. Saying it will not send its observer mission. It will not observe Uganda's general election after 75% of its election observer accreditation requests were turned down by the Electoral Commission there in Uganda. And Ambassador Natalie Brown says the Commission provided no explanation for its decision despite multiple requests. Now, she said in a statement that only a small randomly selected handful of our observers were approved for a team of about 88 observers. And the statement continues to say, absent the robust participation of observers, particularly Ugandan observers who are answerable to their fellow citizens, Uganda's election will lack the accountability, transparency, and confidence that observer missions usually provide there. And Ugandans will be electing a new parliament and a president in the election. President Yoweri Museveni, who has been in power for 35 years, is seeking for a sixth term. So that is the latest news there from Uganda. But I'd like for us to play some video on a press conference President Yoweri Museveni had yesterday. But before that, maybe I'll bring them in after I play that video, my panelist this afternoon. And I'm joined by Jevan Karanja. Jevan, a very good afternoon to you.
It's a very good afternoon, Miriam, to you in your studios in Nairobi. And, I'm not used to be in these hours, but I think I will bring more insightful commentary on this show. Thank you very much.
All right, and I appreciate you. I used to be alone by myself here. I'm being repetitive. That is a scene when it comes to communication. I used to be alone here, but I'm happy that I have company and good minds to help me out in some of these very important conversations across the continent. And I know on the other side, Douglas Kirimi has also joined. Douglas, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Miriam. Good afternoon, my friend Jevan, and also to the crew. And also good afternoon to the people of Uganda. I wish them all the best as they go to the polls tomorrow.
They need all your best wishes, Douglas, when you see what has been happening there in Uganda. Absolutely. But before we get into the details of the story, let's first take a listen to the press conference President Yoweri Museveni had yesterday there in Kampala.
Contestants did not follow the COVID regulations. They were defying the regulation of not congregating, and they were gathering sizable numbers of people, which of course would facilitate infection. I campaigned in the whole country by using indirect methods, holding leaders' meetings of not more than 200 people, or if there are more than 200, separated in the same venue. Then using the radios. Even when I would come across large gatherings which would gather spontaneously, I would not come out to wave to them. Instead, I would sit inside the car and drive slowly, wave to them from inside the car, and continue. Nevertheless, The campaigns have now come to an end. The voting is the day after tomorrow. I call upon all registered voters to come out and vote. There have been practices of intimidation where especially the opposition people have been threatening people not to come out and vote. In some areas they have even attacked peaceful citizens. I held a meeting with the security forces. They are ready to defend you. Therefore, don't fear anything. Come out and vote. Nobody will intimidate you. Nobody will attack you. If anybody tries to do that, we shall get him or her. So therefore, don't fear anything. Go out and vote. You saw how the rioters were defeated in Kampala here. There's no threat we cannot defeat. Don't miss the chance to vote. You go out and vote. We shall defend you. We have got all sorts of means. Simple means and complex means. There's no part of Uganda where we cannot reach, if not on foot, but by air, using all sorts of modern technology. I urge all citizens to keep peace. Keeping peace is a duty. It's not a favor. Sometimes some youth, especially in the urban, Kampala area, they come and tell me how they are planning this, how their leaders were telling them to plan bad things. You should tell everybody that keeping peace is a duty, it's not a favor. If you try to disturb peace, you'll have yourself to blame. The security forces, following the law, are ready to deal with any troublemaker. Therefore, do not be tempted.
So that is President Yoweri Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda there from Nakasero. I think that is the State House there in Uganda. And in that media briefing, also President Museveni accused social media giant Facebook of arrogance and bias as he confirmed ordering the shutdown of social media and messaging apps ahead of tomorrow's election. I'll get your reaction from that press conference there of President Museveni. Jevan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Miriam, for that question. And it is not a good thing to intimidate the social. The comment made by the Museveni, he sounds to be giving good advice because he is telling people to come out in large numbers and vote. That is the case. That's a good thing coming from the president. But you have seen how he has intimidated the opposition. Therefore, it is hypocritical because the people who are supposed to come to vote are supposed to come to vote from a point of knowledge and after being presented with manifestos and agenda by those who are contesting. But he tried so hard to intimidate the opposition, the Bobby Wine, Robert Chengulai, and he made sure that he didn't have a platform to air his campaign promises. Therefore, that is hypocrisy and this should not be a good thing. But all in all, people in Uganda should come out in their large numbers and go and exercise their democratic right by voting the leader of their choice. Also, we have seen how the media, even in Uganda, even with or without the election, the media in Uganda has been intimidated. Therefore, and we have seen even the Facebook switching off accounts of major officials in Uganda. And that, for me, yes, maybe it is a right, they need a right to express themselves, but all well said and done, they're using it to intimidate the people, and Facebook did a very good thing, and Twitter, to block these people from commenting and making such a commentary on Facebook and Twitter, because at the end of the day, these government officials in Uganda, they were using this as a tool of intimidation, as a tool of a code war towards those people who support Bobby Wine. And I wish tomorrow, as they go to vote, to cast their vote, let them exercise their democratic right without fear or favor. But Miriam, tomorrow is the day that the fight and the revolution will start, because I don't see a fair election coming from the side of Museveni and the government of Uganda, because they have tried to put all possible means to ensure that they reclaim their possession of power, and that the Bobby Wine and his supporters will not see the state house, or will not get into possession. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Evan Karanja. So still on that a press conference, and this is what President Museveni, I'll just quote him directly. This is unfortunate, but it is unavoidable. There is no way on on his sentiments about Facebook censoring some of the material that was being channeled through the NRM bloggers and official communication there. And he said, this is not a way anybody can come. There is no a way anybody can come and play around with our country. This is what President Museveni said, to decide who is good, who is bad. This one will stop. I'm just quoting him directly. We cannot accept that. And that is what he said yesterday. Douglas, listening to President Museveni there yesterday, what do you make of his sentiments?
That was a charade. There is nothing that the President of the Republic of Uganda said, because we have seen, the world has seen. Actually, if he had crossed social media since 2018 or 2019, so that the whole of the pandemic, the year of pandemic, the year 2020 and also 2021, this month, for the next 14 days of this month, he would have crossed them, the social media sites in 2020, 2018, 19, and 20, so that the people will be in the dark on what is happening in Uganda. But the people have seen, the world has seen, everything that the General Museveni is saying on that press conference is just a charade. It is an insult to the intelligence of the millions of Ugandans. It is an insult to the opposition, and also it is an insult to people that General Museveni has tortured for him to retain power. Remember, General Museveni, as he was making that remark, he was also putting army stands across the cities of Uganda. He had put military tanks around the city in Kampala, and especially downtown, where Bobby Wine has a huge support base. And also, remember, this is a man that has fashioned himself as a true dictator, who has been beating up opposition, shooting at Bobby Wine so that he can be able to assassinate him. And also, we have seen the man is also capable of stage managing stuff. Today, we saw a minister in Uganda being said to have escaped assassination. Assassination from who? We have had General Museveni talking about that people from his party are being intimidated by opposition. He is a sitting dictator in Africa. Everyone knows that General Museveni is a dictator. We've seen Bobby Wine's good supporters being beaten on a campaign rally. Who can intimidate NRM? Who can intimidate General Museveni? This is a man that is hell-bent on using the army to sabotage plans by opposition to campaign. He has been able to deploy the police force, and also the people in police force who have also attended their duty of helping General Museveni retain power, and also stifle democracy and stifle the voices of people, kill and also assassinate people, especially the opposition leaders and also supporters. It is very wrong. It is very uncalled for. And as the US also withdrew from that, I withdraw my own support for the Ugandan election, and I'm calling for a complete repeat of that election, because this is an election where General Museveni alone organized this election, and what he has done He has organized the election, printed the materials, and now he is putting out a charade tomorrow that the U.S. Embassy has called out, and also the AU has been able to call this out. What we are asking the AU to do is to call out this, because AU has been benefiting from Museveni's and also they have been perpetuating the culture of violence in Uganda. They have not been able to hold the leader of Uganda, the General Museveni, to account. And one thing that I want to tell the people of Uganda is that tomorrow they should do a protest vote and actually going to vote in an election that he has already stolen. That is a charity. He wants to retain power. But the people of Uganda, I leave that to them to decide what they will do with their dictator.
All right, very well. So Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has accused some social media giant. I've had too much, I think, during lunchtime. Social media giant Facebook of arrogance and bias as he confirmed ordering the shutdown of social media and messaging apps ahead of Thursday's election. He said if Facebook was to operate in Uganda, it should be used equitably by everyone. Uganda's communications regulator on Tuesday told telecoms firms to block access to social media and messaging apps hours after Facebook had closed fake accounts it said were linked to the government. Facebook said the accounts were being used to manipulate public debate in the hotly contested election. Users of social media and messaging apps began reporting disruptions earlier on Tuesday on Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram, as well as Snapchat. Twitter has responded by saying that the shutdown violates basic human rights and the principles of open internet. Meanwhile, the US has condemned the government's decision to shut down social media, while the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for respect for human rights. So now the leader of opposition, Bobi Wine, and other leaders of opposition had a press conference earlier today. That press conference we just played earlier on, Museveni had it yesterday. So Bobi Wine, together with some opposition leaders, had a rebuttal to that early in the morning today. So let's get a listen to that.
And to further mention that we cannot take so much time overemphasizing on the impunity and lawlessness that we have had to stand the last 2 months. As you all know, ladies and gentlemen, standing against General Museveni is a more dangerous crime than any crime we know here in Uganda. As we stand here today, abductions are ongoing, killings are ongoing, and arrests are ongoing. Just my entire team was arrested in Kalangala. Only 46 were released. More than 100 continue to languish in prisons. Many arrests are ongoing. Last night, there were raids on more of my team members and some of the leaders of the National Unity Platform. Mr. Rule David Wanika, also known as Selector Devi, was raided by the military. His doors broken and he was taken away. Nobody knows where he is. Last night, one of our team members, my driver sometimes and works mainly as a mechanic, One Katerega, was shot by the military and he passed away this morning. And again this morning, my house was raided. 2 of my gardeners were taken away and my security guard was beaten very, very badly. That is what we have to deal with, ladies and gentlemen. But while this is ongoing, the Electoral Commission is silent. We have reported numerous times to the Electoral Commission. We've informed them that even the polling agents that we sent out there, even the coordinators that have been identifying and recruiting polling agents are being rounded up and arrested and charged with recruiting rebels. That is the election under General Museveni. The Electoral Commission has been conspicuously silent and continues to be silent even when we raise these complaints, both physically and in writing. The only time the Electoral Commission has come up is to actually castigate the victims, us, The Electoral Commission recently continued to expose its bias by stopping me from further campaign. And indeed, I've not been able to campaign for the last 5 days because the Electoral Commission said I had to sign an illegal memorandum of understanding with them. That is where we are. We know that all this is being done to intimidate and discourage people. We know that by deploying the military and police in all places, by arresting our members, by arresting people indiscriminately, the regime is trying to discourage Ugandans from turning up in large numbers and vote. So I will not dwell on the challenges that we are facing. Let me go straight to the message that all of us as the forces of change seek to communicate to you this morning. We are raising our voice in unison and agreeing that indeed it is time for Uganda to have change. We are therefore adding our voices together to call upon all of you fellow Ugandans to turn up in large numbers and vote. By now, all voters have made up their mind. By now, we know all voters know who they want to vote for. But most importantly, we are convinced that all voters in Uganda would want a better Uganda, a peacefully changing Uganda. Therefore, we call upon all of you fellow Ugandans to turn up and vote. Please communicate this message to everybody you know and help those that cannot carry themselves to the polling station, the old and the weak and the ill. Help them to be able to assert their voices. And besides voting, we continue to call upon you to be vigilant and protect the vote. Stay there. There's nothing in the law you will be breaking by staying on the polling station. We've continuously advised fellow Ugandans to always wear face masks and observe social distance. But this is one day that we believe is going to change the destiny of this, our country. So we encourage all the voters to turn up and vote and stay there and guard the vote. Do not be discouraged by the illegal pronouncements of Mr. Byabakama and the military and other security forces. I've said it before and I'm saying it again that Mr. Byabakama is a civil servant. The Electoral Commission and all the leadership of the Electoral Commission, those are servants of the people. They are not bosses. They are under the law. They are governed by the law, the same law that governs everybody else in Uganda. And we are telling you that you will not be breaking the law when you stand and watch.
The main contender, opposition contender there, Bobi Wine, having a press conference earlier on the day, responding to another press conference by President Yoweri Museveni that he had yesterday. And Bobi Wine started by saying that standing against President Museveni or running against President Museveni in Uganda is a more dangerous crime than any other crime in Uganda. Jevan.
Yeah, thank you very much. And let me say it's not a crime because at the end of the day, that was it's just a figure, let me call it, is a word that he is using. But
it appears when you look at him now and when you look at Besigye in the past and when you look at how President Museveni has been handling opposition, and anybody who dares to run to contest, who's a serious contender for that seat, the force at which you're met with is like you have bombed the whole, I don't know, capital of Kampala or something. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, from that angle, it's true. He is a dangerous man because he'll intimidate you and will make sure that you don't get the support that you need in order to clinch the position of presidency. But to the people of Uganda and those who contest, they do it to liberate the people of Uganda or to end this dictatorial government that has been in power for the last 35 years. Therefore, that is my take. But all said and done, Museveni is a dictator. He is a very dangerous man. We saw the intimidation that Dr. Kizza Besigye went through. We see the intimidation that Bobi Wine, Robert Kyagulanyi is going through. Therefore, this shows that Museveni is a man who does not respect human rights, who does not respect expression of different views from what he holds, is a man who feels like he is the alpha and omega in Uganda. And you cannot do anything about that. And if you try to cross his way, he will crush you and intimidate you. And that's what has been happening, even with these elections campaign. We have seen this Bobby Wine being intimidated, his supporters being beaten up. Therefore, it is high wake-up call to all agencies and bodies that see this. The US have done their part, and it's time that even the AU, the sleeping giant in Africa, to wake up and call in order Museveni. And even the international body should be watched. And I hope that one day Museveni will have to pay for all these bad things that have committed to the people of Uganda, because you have seen people even going to court after their retirement. I wish that the people of Uganda will send him out of power so that the agencies responsible for dealing with people who commit crimes against humanity can deal with him. And all said and done, from the conclusion of that interview by Bobby Wine, I see a man who is lamenting, a man who has seen it all with his eyes, and a man who now feels like the election will not be fair, a man who feels like the ballot paper have been manipulated already. And this is the case in Uganda. You cannot try to outshine Museveni, but let me congratulate him because he have taken a cause, and a revolution call have taken momentum in Uganda. We have seen the youth support him in large number because he has an agenda that is buying, that is the young people are buying an agenda to unchain themselves from the slavery and the mental slavery that Museveni has caused them, economic slavery, political and social slavery that the people of Uganda have endured for 30 plus years. And Museveni, and tomorrow, Miriam, apart from Museveni forcing himself to power, tomorrow is the day revolution will kickstart off officially. This was just a presser, but what is coming after this rigged election will be more vigorous. People are coming out in large numbers, and in Kampala and all these cities in Uganda, you'll see people coming out in large number to send this man home and to make their voice heard. And I think that is where the international body will intervene, and a peace, maybe a negotiation will be called in power. And Museveni will have either to share part of government with the Bobby Wine, or you'll have to go off in ICC and serve a sentence there, because the people of Uganda have suffered, and they have said enough is enough, Miriam. If you see the mood, they are tired. And tomorrow, if he tries to force himself into power, these are not, they don't behave like the people in Tanzania. They are very reluctant. But Ugandans will do it vigorously, and things will not eat plenty in Uganda, starting from tomorrow. A revolution is coming, a freedom is coming tomorrow. It's just the beginning.
All right.
Thank you.
This poster that was just shared there while you were talking, Uganda is not my house. I'll go to my house if I lose and do my own things if the people of Uganda don't want me to help them with their issues. That is President Museveni is there, was quoted as saying. And now, Douglas, we've seen Bobby Wine there say even his driver was shot dead this morning, and this is not the first time. I think they killed another one a couple of weeks ago, and his home staff were taken away and his security was withdrawn. All that happened this morning, I think, after having that interview he had with a Kenyan radio station, and when the government knew that he was doing that, they invaded his home. And today he's saying that his driver was shot dead, 2 of his home staff were taken away, and his security detail has been withdrawn, something which I think is quite serious and grave, especially for a presidential candidate in a country. So now, therefore, this I'd like to pose this question to you, Douglas. What we see this level of intimidation from the government of Yoweri Museveni, and it's not the first time. We saw that with Kizza Besigye. We've seen that, how the government has been handling opposition there in the country, especially during electioneering period. But in this regard, is President Museveni trying to make a statement, or is he genuinely scared of losing to Bobby Wine?
Thank you, Miriam, and that question is very, very important to the conversation that we are having in Uganda, and I thank you. One thing that we need to understand as the people of goodwill in the world, friends of Uganda, and our neighbors, and also the ICC and the UN, they need to understand that General Museveni, when Bobby Wine for the first time declared that he's going to run for president, General Museveni said that Bobby Wine is inconsequential to the race to replace him at Entebbe, and also when General Museveni realized at the end of the day that it is not going the way he had thought. He had thought that the Bobi Wine is not going to inspire confidence and all that. Remember, there is one constituency of voters that General Museveni has not been able to put under his wraps. This is the young constituency of voters who have come out strongly, defying bullets and also the beatings by the police and also the army that General Museveni is scared of. He is scared about the awoke silent majority. The kind of statements that General Museveni is sending are not new to what he has been doing before. He's been aided by AU, he's been aided by UN, he's been aided by America that has abandoned him this morning, and also he's been aided by the UK and also European Union, because he cannot be able to do all these things without their backing. General Museveni is ashamed of himself and also knows that at this point, he can no longer control Ugandans. His intimidation is coming to an end. I want to agree with what my friend Jevan Karanja said, that at this point, the Ugandan revolution and also the Ugandan true liberation is coming tomorrow. We want to thank General Museveni for what he did in 1986 for Uganda and also his early years as a revolutionary. But at this point, a good dancer knows when to stop dancing. What Bobi Wine is experiencing today, it is the pain of millions of Ugandans. What the wife of Bobi Wine and their children are experiencing, it is the pain and suffering of millions of Ugandans under the hands of the General Museveni. We have seen people from UPDF, the UPDF spokesperson on Twitter was saying the only orders from the commander-in-chief are shoot to kill Ugandans who are law-abiding and who are also in their own country. Ugandans did not borrow their country, they don't ask for permission from General Museveni to be born in Uganda. It is their own country, and they should not be intimidated by a dictator that is coming to an end of his era and also an end to his regime. Remember, we used to have a dictator in South Sudan, in Sudan, the Omar al-Bashir. Al-Bashir today is languishing in prison. None of his former ministers, none of his advisors, none, including his wife, is with him. We had Hosni Mubarak in Egypt, and also when Hosni Mubarak was in prison, he went to prison with none. And also the people that are writing the general of NRM in Uganda, the General Museveni, they are not going to go very far, because at the end of the day, what we have seen the army and the police force using force to be able to kill Ugandans, ordinary Ugandans, poor people who have been subjected to a lot of suffering under General Museveni. These people should also be taken care of as far as ICC is concerned. The generals should also follow Museveni to ICC, and ICC should also institute. They should not wait for elections tomorrow, because there will be no election tomorrow. That is a charity. They should start investigations into abuse of human rights in Uganda, killings and displacement of people. Museveni has been able to kill a lot of people. The ICC should also take Museveni to ICC and open charges against him, because Museveni has been able to displace the millions of people. There are refugees all over the world from Uganda. He's been able to kill people and also mutilate the bodies of the people of Uganda. At this point, all I'm asking the UN to do, the USA and everyone else, is that they need to be able to deal with General Museveni at the ICC and not through the ballot.
Okay. Thank you so much, Douglas. And while you were talking, they were showing some images of some military tank driving through the streets there. I don't know whether it's Kampala or Entebbe, but I guess it is Kampala, because there has been heightened activities there with the protesting and all of that. And I'm just here thinking, what is the army doing? Can you imagine President Uhuru Kenyatta getting the army from the barracks and having them drive anywhere in the streets of any any street in our country? That is just ridiculous. The army is supposed to be protecting the country and its people. This army, you're sending them to the people to torture the people, to intimidate the people, to they killed the driver of Bobi Wine earlier today. What kind of a country is this? What kind of leadership is this? And why is the East African community silent? Why is IGAD silent? Why is African Union silent? Why even the East African community especially. Why didn't a leader from the East Africa community speak when 54 people died during, I think, last year when they were having the campaigns? This is appalling. This has to be called out because we don't want to sit here. I was just reading another news item where some Ugandans from the capital city and other urban areas are moving, are running away and going back to their villages or other places they feel safe because they feel there's a potential of violence breaking out. Of course, President Museveni has come out and said that will not happen. The army will be in charge. But when you see why is the army involved like that, Javan?
Yeah, thank you very much, Miriam. And by you saying that you have seen a news item that people are running to safer places, that means that Museveni has achieved his goal and his mandate, and his goal and his objective. Because when he was using the army, this was to send a signal of intimidation, a blackmail, and code war, so that the people will fear to stay in these urban areas. And Miriam, you understand, Bobby Wine is enjoying a lot of support from these urban areas and in towns. Therefore, when you take these armies to these areas and they maneuver there, squandering there all around aimlessly, then the people will start being fearful. They'll start running out to save their life. And that is the objective of Museveni, and for sure he is achieving. But this is not good because army is supposed to be protecting the country from external attack. Now this means that if an external attack comes comes to Uganda right now, they will have nobody to protect them because the army is fragmented into small towns and villages to take care of people who are supposed to exercise their democratic rights. Therefore, that is intimidation, that is uncalled for, that is violation of human rights. Because Miriam, when you're denied a chance to vote, then you are denied a lot of things because good governance, good roads, service delivery, they all come with the government of the day. Therefore, this is bad, and he's supposed to use other means, Miriam, and people should exercise their democratic right. And I said earlier, Museveni thinks that he is the final, he is the first, and he is the last, he is the beginning and the end. But things are changing, Miriam, and I've said, yes, tomorrow, freedom is coming to the people of Uganda because they are determined. And after Museveni forcing himself to power, because that is what he is planning to do with all these signals that he is sending, people will not sit pretty. Things will not be well. And at the end of it all, Miriam, we will not have to kill all the Ugandans who will go to demonstration, but he will have to look for alternative means to settle this kind of demonstration and so on. Okay. And that is where peace negotiation will come. That is where freedom will come. And that is where justice will be delivered to the people of Uganda. Because when you go in drones in these cities, you attract attention from other bodies, international bodies, and those people who can bring sanity in such kind of areas. And I think that is the way to go. And the people who negotiate for peace, like Dr. David Masanga, I think there's an opportunity is coming for them to redeem the people of Uganda. And this is an opportunity for the people of Uganda not to be fearful, but to continue with the fight, Miriam. Because you understand, even in our country, when we were colonized, because to Museveni, what he is doing in Uganda amounts to colonization, neo-colonialization. When we had that in our country, our people, the Mau Mau and the other freedom fighters, they went into field without fear or anything looking backward, but they went there to fight for freedom, and surely we achieved it after that suffering and so on. Therefore, to the people of Uganda, this is an encouragement. Keep doing, keep working, keep on the spirit, and at the end of the day, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Very well. Yeah, thank you.
And yes, and they play those images again. President Museveni, are you at war with your own people? Why are you sending the Ugandan People Defense Force, I believe they're called like that, in the streets? I mean, by the time you see the military, the men in the military regalia in the streets here in Kenya, then things are really, really that bad. This is just an election. You know, a lot of times we'll see the presence of police officers being increased, but not the army. And when you see the army patrolling like that and showing their might and driving through the streets there in Kampala, are you at war with your people, President Museveni? That is just just outright wrong. You were wrong, and you were wrong, and you were wrong. So now let's just look at this bogus electoral commission there in Uganda. I call it bogus because that is how you plan for a bogus election, because what is going on there tomorrow in Uganda is really not election at all. It's just a formality process where a lot of people get killed and the opposition get maimed and get harassed and intimidated. At the end of the day, it's already decided that President Museveni will continue and will start serving his sixth term, unless a miracle happens. I don't know from where, but still we heard their opposition leader, Bobi Wine, encouraging Ugandans to go and vote, and we saw President Museveni himself calling upon Ugandans to go there and vote. Now, we've seen the opposition on that press conference. They're saying the Electoral Commission in Uganda has been quite silent when the national resistance movement. First of all, you've been in power for, what, 35 years, and you still call your party the national resistance movement. You're resisting against what? Your people. Why do you call yourself that? And yet you are the government. What are you resisting? You know, those are, the name already is like drumming for war of some sort, or some, you know, some, it says a lot about the kind of leadership that we have there in Uganda. So this bogus Electoral Commission of Uganda has been silent. Well, a lot of electoral laws have been violated, especially by NRM and the people allied to the government. And the opposition is saying they've shown a lot of biasness. There are things they've reported, and the Electoral Commission has not taken action. And they stopped the opposition from campaigning about 5 days ago or over that. And so this Electoral Commission, has it failed the people of Uganda? Douglas.
Thank you, Miriam. And I want to submit that the Electoral Commission in Uganda is not an Electoral Commission by any means. It's an extension of oppressive departments that were created by General Museveni to be able to stifle the voices of the people of Uganda, and also continue numbing them so that they cannot speak, so that they cannot have their voices, so that they cannot have a democratic process carried out perfectly. Remember, this is the same Electoral Commission that has been able to ban the opposition from campaigning in their own strongholds, and also citing COVID-19. But we have also seen General Museveni moving from one town and also one city to another, one region to another. But this same Electoral Commission, which is an extension of a special multi-purpose department by General Museveni to be able to destroy democracy and entrench his dictatorship in Uganda, it is one place that we don't want to wish our countries to go to. Remember, it is the same Electoral Commission that sets rules, but they allow the national resistance movement to continue using the army, the police force to continue stifling the voices of the people, and also stopping the people of Uganda from exercising their democratic rights. Remember, it is the same commission that has been running these elections for the shameless dictator in Uganda, so that the people of Uganda can continue languishing in poverty of democracy, and also poverty of raising their own voices, and also poverty of growth, and also lack of opportunities. Because as long as that dictator is in power in Uganda, he is going to continue malnourishing the people of Uganda in terms of better ideas on how to govern themselves, and also alternative leadership that can be able to bring about progressive leadership, and also entrench a culture of getting the people that they want in power. General Museveni has been in power for about 6 years now, and it is the high time he hangs his boot and goes home, because at this point, the people of Uganda are going to use other means. I'm not going to advise them on what they are going to do. They know what they have to do to be able to chase General Museveni away. He is a shameless dictator who has been able to use the Electoral Commission of Uganda to continue stifling the voices of democracy, malnourishing the opposition, so that nobody can be able to raise a point, so that the people of Uganda can continue ravaging in poverty of ideas as exhibited by the national resistance movement and also the army generals. All I'm asking now is the ICC. Our only solution now is the UN-backed ICC process to be able to extradite General Museveni and his generals, and also the police, the Inspector General of Police, and other people who have been able to kill Ugandans, abuse human rights, make children and women are refugees in their own country. Remember, we cannot lose our country because of one dictator and his own family. Okay. We need to be able to arrest General Museveni using ICC, and also the leaders that support General Museveni. They need to stop that. We are asking President of the Republic of Kenya to pronounce himself against Uganda, that issue in Uganda, and also other regional presidents like Magufuli of Tanzania. I know they are his friends, but they need to be able now to come out clean and also stand with the people of Uganda, because one of their own is eating the children of Uganda. The future of the children of Uganda has been shamelessly destroyed by a dictator, a shameless man who has been able to beat his own grandchildren, the rights of Bobby Wine and also other younger opposition leaders like John Katumbi. And we are asking the ICC to take him as early as possible, because since 1986, he's been killing the people of Uganda, stifling their voices, and also stopping them from experiencing true democracy as encompassed in their own hearts and the way they would want to be led. General Museveni has been forcing himself on people, but I hope the young constituency of voters are going to teach this dictator a lesson that he shall never forget. Mm-hmm. And also, I want to add something before I forget. General Museveni needs, the people of Uganda need not to go to the bush now. They are supposed to remove General Museveni by force. There is nothing like going to fight him from the bush, because today, whatever they did in 1980s when he said that he went to the bush and people want to remove him from power should go to the bush, they can no longer go to the bush. They have better ways of removing him from power. And we are calling the ICC, which was not there in 1986, to remove General Museveni from power.
Okay. All right. Roniekit Magiri Semanda, you're saying true, it's a bogus election. Yes, I've called it. I've been calling it. It's bogus. It's bogus. It's very bogus. All right. I don't have another word that I could describe the elections there in Uganda. And Don Sol, you're saying Museveni for Ugandans. Please, Marcus Atiaya, you're saying, but brutality from Museveni uniform men, it's worrying, myopic way dealing with things as someone who has been in power for 35 years. And yesterday I was watching an interview he had with Channel 4. I was baffled. I think it was about 14 minutes, and I don't have it now here, but tomorrow we shall do another show on Uganda, because they're going for the elections for that bogus process tomorrow. So we should have another talk, and then perhaps I'll have bits and pieces of that interview so that we can have that fully when he was being asked about what some of these things that he's been doing. I think he's not even 100%. I don't know, maybe it's old age or something, but when you look at that interview and how he's talking and how perhaps he was 10 years ago, when you look, there's a huge difference. So maybe he's not even, he's not even fit. When you look at that, I'm telling you, I'll come with a video tomorrow and we will talk about it. And Miriam, now, yes.
The general himself, General Museveni, said in 2016 in an interview that I'll get to tomorrow when you're doing the show, he said, when a person gets to the age of 75 to 76, they lose their mental faculties and also they start experiencing dementia. When he was asked, are you going to run again? He said, no. After 75, a man starts losing their memory. Right. He said he is going to Rwakitura to take care of his cattle, which are wrong-owned, and he's not doing so. He should go to Rwakitura.
There's something that has happened with how his reasoning and how he is even, his level of comprehension. Yes, that is the word I was looking for. So tomorrow, I will come with that interview. And if I was a Ugandan and my president sounded like that, let me tell you something. I would be worried. I will go to that ballot and I will vote and I will demand for better. All right. But of course, we've had Mr. Bobby Wine being criticized that the only thing Ugandans he's been campaigning on, of course, is people power. Outside of that, he does not have policies and perhaps an agenda, and maybe his only agenda is to remove Museveni, but he does not have a well-laid plan on what he intends to do or how he intends to change the lives of Ugandans. Jevon, have you heard that conversation, and what do you make of that?
Yeah, I have had that conversation, and I have listened and I also contributed to it in one or two forums. But let me say this. The main agenda here in Uganda, even the people of Uganda knows, is first of all to kick Museveni out of power, and from there they will get a manifesto or an agenda. The main agenda for now, Miriam, is people power and to set Museveni out of power, and from there the plan will be laid.
So that is the agenda. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
So that is the
I think
agenda.
that is the agenda,
Okay.
to send Museveni home and to come with a manifesto. But well, that said and done, I don't see as if Museveni, Bobby Wine has no agenda. Yes, he has a manifesto to better the lives of Ugandans, but he can't better when Museveni is still in power. Therefore, he needs to send him off. Then the people of Uganda might sit down and come up with their own manifesto and with the government of the day, and they settle their things collectively.
Okay.
But for now, the main issue is to send Museveni home, and they will better their things from there.
All right.
I beg to submit.
And let's see how
Thank
that
you.
will work out tomorrow. Now, the U.S. will not observe Uganda's Thursday general election after 75% of its election observer accreditation requests were turned down by the Electoral Commission, the bogus Electoral Commission of Uganda, I might add. Ambassador Natalie Brown says the commission provided no explanation for its decision despite multiple requests. Now, she said in a statement that only a small, randomly selected handful of our observers were approved from a team of 88 observers. Absent the robust participation of observers, particularly Ugandan observers who were answerable to their fellow citizens, Uganda's election will lack the accountability, transparency, confidence that observer missions provide. I do not recall when Uganda's elections had accountability, had transparency, and inspired confidence in anybody. I don't know. Maybe I've been reading or watching the wrong things, Douglas. U.S. will not participate in observer mission there.
The U.S. has now been able to throw General Yoweri Museveni under the bus. The son of Museveni should also understand that the U.S. now is done with him. They have been supporting him for long and have been saying it for a very, very, very long time. And also remember Sam Doe of Liberia, when he was being supported by the US, he was on top of the world. But when the US decided to drop him, they dropped him like a hot potato and he came down. This general is not going to rust. Remember, we have been having people across Africa who have been supported by the US and other countries to be able to continue maiming their people and also destroying natural resources and also selling them to the Western countries. Uganda at this point, when the US has withdrawn their confidence on General Museveni, anything is going to happen now. And at the end of the day, he knows the army tanks that are roaming around Kampala is not something that the US would want to be associated with. I don't think that the president of the Republic of Kenya today can try intimidating the opposition here by sending the police officers at their gates. Because we've seen people insult president of the Republic of Kenya, but we have not seen the army in the streets. Even when the opposition was so tough in this country, the only people who are being sent on the streets are normal regular police officers. We've never seen army tanks and also all combat, military
in
combat.
The streets. Can you imagine to intimidate your own people? President Museveni, you're fighting against your own people. What madness is that?
And Miriam, I hope that the US is going to settle this once and for all, and they are going to help us extradite this man to ICC so that he cannot be tried in Uganda. And also the army generals who are giving orders, the spokesperson of UPDF, who are saying that the people of Uganda should continue being killed and also maimed. Because Miriam, it is very sad for us in 21st century to continue butchering people the way he was butchering people in 1986. Rumor says that he has sent the butcher of Mogadishu today, Mohamed Saleh in Kampala, to continue killing his own people for him to stick to power. The 76-year-old octogenarian should understand that the people of Uganda are tired of their own dictator and also a shameless man who has been able to reduce Ugandans who are peace-loving into nothing but his own stooge for him to continue holding into power. Or I'm asking the ICC, or I'm asking the UN, the Secretary General of the UN, they should not give statements on paper. They should do something about it. And also the president of East Africa, the East Africa community, the AU, which has been sleeping on this issue, Haigad, all of them, they should come out of their closet and speak on this issue. If President Uhuru Kenyatta does not speak, if Magufuli does not speak, Kagame's of this world don't speak, Salva Kiir's of this world, because Uganda is going to collapse. And at the end of the day, we are going to hold this region and also our Pan-African brothers to account, because the AU is sleeping. Mohamed Faki of AU is sleeping. The UN is sleeping. Antonio Guterres is giving his own statement, but they should go beyond that statement. they should go and save the people of Uganda from the man that is determined to burn the country to remain president. I submit.
Okay, very well. Jevan, by the U.S. removing its observers there, and observers in a country or in an election, especially across Africa, they act as safeguards of checks and balances, and perhaps to alert, so that people are able to know really what happened and what is happening during the election. So by the U.S. removing its observer mission there, what does this mean in the bigger scheme of things?
Yeah, this means that, they have removed the observers because they were denied accreditation by the government of Museveni, because the government knows the kind of injustices it wants to impose in this election. That is why the U.S., because it does not want to be a part of a founder process, that is why they have pulled out the observers. And this is a very good thing, because they have sent Museveni into a political disarray and into the drawing board. And I think this sends a message that things will not be plenty as we move on, because the U.S. does not want to be associated with that. Other bodies will come and they will also take the same stand, and after election you see more observers saying that the election was not fair and so on. Therefore, this is to see that the call for revolution is also taking shape, and the people of Uganda, they should also have a reason to see that things are the fight that they have been holding in the street is bearing fruit, because now we see a situation where the people of Uganda will get justices, because this sends a signal to the whole world that the process that they call it scientific, it is no longer scientific, it is a fraud, it is a malice, is a miscellaneous process that intends to continue mistreating the people of Uganda. Therefore, this sends a message that from today, the things in Uganda will not be the same, and we might see people going into even to the bigger courts because of these crimes that they're committing and denying people of Uganda a right to vote the leaders of their choice. That is a signal that that pool sent to the world that the process is a fraud, is not fair, it is intimidation, and that is why they were denied accreditation, and that is why media and journalists are denied access to polling stations. Some media houses have been banned to take photos, and I hear they have zones. They have cubes where you're supposed to take photos from or pictures from of what is happening. This is intimidation and is putting people in darkness. And when people are in dark, things go haywire because evil thrives in darkness.
All right.
Thank you.
Very well. So accountability, transparency there is under is it under attack or is it under trial there in Uganda's election? Ugandan authorities on Tuesday ordered telecoms to shut down social media and messaging services just 2 days before a tense presidential election. In a letter seen by AFP, Ugandan Communications Commission Executive Director Irene Sewan-Campbell ordered telecommunication companies to immediately suspend any access and use of social media and online messaging platforms. An industry insider who spoke to AFP on condition of anonymity said the order was first communicated in a nasty and aggressive phone calls to the telecommunications companies on Tuesday morning. The calls made it clear the order was a retaliation of the Facebook deleting pro-government accounts for seeking to manipulate public debate before Thursday's key polls. Users were turning to virtual private networks to bypass the blockade. President Yoweri Museveni has been in power since 1986, is running against Robert Kyagulanyi alias Bobi Wine, a singer who became a member of parliament in 2017. Thank you so much, Douglas Kirimi. Thank you, Jevan Karanja. We have to end it here because tomorrow we shall have a very special coverage of the bogus election there in Uganda. I'm sorry. As Doctor says, are there any elections going on in Uganda? But we have to keep talking, I guess. And so tomorrow we shall have a special coverage and we shall have more, talk about what is happening there in our neighboring country. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Miriam Ogutu. Let's meet here tomorrow, 9 a.m. For the latest news across the continent. Bye-bye for now.
must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.